Welcome to the Spectators Podcast. Here are your hosts, Corey and Jeff.
Welcome, spectators, to hopefully a good episode of the Spectators Podcast. And I say that because I just woke up from watching WWE Raw because it was so boring. Put me in a sleep for a while. But before we dive into that, please hit subscribe, give a thumbs up, and hit the little bell there. It'll tell you when our new episodes are coming out. But before we groan on again about this product, Corey, how are you?
You know what? I'm all right. I feel like, you've put the listeners in a state of being disappointed prior to even getting into the show. Something that WWE doesn't like to do. They like to make us excited for a show and then let us down later. So hopefully we do the opposite for you and we make it more exciting towards the end. But how are you, Jeff? How are things?
all CM Punk go to sleep. That's all they're doing to us. I get all excited, then they just do a GTS. I'm all right. I am feeling the same way I did last episode, where it is just irritating to watch this product right now, because it's, again, just everyone keeps saying they're spinning their wheels. I think it's pretty appropriate. That's a pretty appropriate way to explain it. And we have a very exciting, I would actually say, weekend of wrestling. We have, minus Night of Champions. What should be an exciting weekend of with Night of Champions, or what I'm coining it Night of Some Champions. And then we have NXT Battleground, and then we have all Double or Nothing on Sunday. So what should be an exciting weekend for most wrestling fans. But if you're a WWE fan, I guess it might be good. I mean, Saudi shows sometimes are exciting, but this one really seems like it's kind of going to be pretty run-of-the-mill. They're going to earn their $15 million or whatever it is and go back to North America after the weekend.
Yeah. I mean, this is probably, and we've probably said this before, but this is probably the event that I'm least looking forward to for a long time. Like, I think that the more that they add matches, there's just been nothing really that compelling to me.
No.
Nothing new, nothing fresh. The only piece that's fresh about this really is the World Heavyweight title.
Which I told you earlier, I forgot it was even on the card.
I almost feel like they've shoved it down our throats too, with the way that they've been doing these promos and making us see Seth Rollins talk about Roman Reigns, and it's like, again,
not talking about the championship.
You are, but this championship isn't about Roman Reigns right now. It's about you facing off against AJ Styles. So you should be talking about that. You should be talking about your history, etc. But of course, they have to bring up the question: how do you feel about Roman Reigns? And
they had 3 weeks to do some sort of promo with. I mean, I know they're on different shows, and we obviously have shown now that the draft means dick all. So no promo between AJ and Seth. I find that really interesting.
No,
I know
person.
Seth,
exactly.
Yeah.
No meeting.
And I know
which is odd.
Seth was filming, but you couldn't do some sort of filmed one like they did with when Seth was feuding with Riddle. Like they did a backstage one. Like you couldn't film some sort of something.
Well, yeah, because AJ's there. You're AJ's backstage. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. And for them to take even 5 minutes, you have talent that can cut a 5-minute promo that's compelling enough.
They did that interview that was 2 shows long. They couldn't have done a promo between him and
really the interview was all Seth Rollins.
And this entire card is this. Like, there's no build for anything outside of the tag match. And that's an irritating
But this has been a constant. The whole no build thing. We talked about this going into Mania, which was one of the events that there should be tons of build for. And I think at that time we had said, oh, there hasn't been any build for the last 3 shows, and now there hasn't been any build for the last 5 shows. But when I say 5 shows, I say 5 PLEs, right? And that just baffles me. Like, you're not even bothering to market your product. The only way that you're marketing your product is marketing it through the cable providers. Like, you're telling Peacock to show it, Sportsnet to show it here in Canada, and the WWE Network, and that's it. You're not really like doing any marketing within your show to really get fans into it. And I actually see a commercial right now about WWE Raw, and it's showing on TV, and there's no like pull for the show. There's nothing that's drawing anyone in. So it makes me wonder, like, in terms of the subscription services and like the fans wanting to watch these, like, are they losing fans right now? Are they actually losing some interest?
Yeah, I wonder, because you've seen in the past 2 weeks of the I know they piped in crowd noise before, but my God, has it been obvious these past 2 weeks?
Friday with Roman Reigns was really, really bad. When Roman Reigns came out, they piped it up a lot. And then, go ahead. And
then I can't remember which segment I was. It was the Dom and the Apollo Crew match. Like, it was clearly, like, I don't know, because there was a "We Want Mommy" chant, and it just, like, it didn't seem like it was fully authentic. I don't know. But anyway, so like, it's just like even though they're selling out, it seems like the crowds aren't getting into the product, which is a problem, right? Because from what I could tell, and I figured this was going to happen after WrestleMania, I feel like they were riding quite the wave, and they continued to sell out Raw and SmackDowns. They sold out Backlash, but selling out Backlash made sense because it's an international PLE. They're going to sell out because you don't get that product.
Yeah.
I think it was 20 years ago they were there. But so now I wonder if Night of Champions is going to be as dull as it looks. Will we start to see the sellouts slow down? And will they have to continue to pipe in crowd noise? Because it's boring. This is boring crap to watch, and like, that's what we're gonna title this bloody thing, because it's true. Like, WWE is so boring right now. It's so repetitive. Like there's nothing gripping you to watch it. Like, it's, again, like we were joking that we had to record this podcast, and we just felt like a task, and it feels like that's it. What's watching the product right now is a task. Like there's nothing exciting. Like, there's nothing exciting about it anymore.
The hard thing to watch from a fan's perspective too is, that they can put out good product. That's the thing that bothers you.
I know,
because they have the ability to put good product out. They have the talent to put stuff together, but for some reason, between Vince and Triple H and the rest of the writing crew, I don't want to put this on one person, but the rest of the writing crew too, like, they're being lazy. They're writing stuff that is previous storylines. They're just repeating storylines. They're repeating feuds. And hey, a match between Dominic Mysterio and Apollo Crews. Okay, cool. There's something new there. That's good. There are the odd things that they're trying, but it seems like you're putting together stuff at an amateur level of booking, where you're just throwing stuff together to try to see if you might get a bite on it, right? You're not actually doing things with vigor. You're not like putting a lot into it
or committing to it. I agree with you, right? Because like, if you look at some of the matches, right? Like, if you're going to set a match at a PLE, commit to it, right? Like, there have been no builds for a majority. There's 7 matches on that card, right? And we'll get into each of the matches, unfortunately. But like, I can think, like, really the Bloodline's the only one that's really had an actual build, and that's just frustrating because no one, I think, well, people are intrigued, I guess. I'm not. I think it's just ridiculous that we're going down this road.
Yeah.
The fact that the Universal Champion on Night of Champions is not defending his championship, he's actually trying to get more, is dumb. but that's WWE for you. But it's irritating since Mania, like they don't fully commit to their matches for PLEs. It's really strange. Like they'll do good for a few, like Bad Bunny and Damian Priest. That was a good build, right? Just trying to think. Like I guess Brock and Cody. Like that's another really strange one for me.
That's
Because
an interesting one, and I do want to get into that a little bit more later on. But I do want to hear your perspective on it.
Yeah, I'll save it for the PLE, but it's been a really odd one for me with their build, and I'll explain that in a little bit. I guess there was a build for that one, but it was an odd little build. The attack after the Raw after Mania was cool. Like after my anger subsided from seeing Cody getting destroyed after unjustly losing at WrestleMania. But yeah, it's just been odd. Like it's just since Mania, like they've changed everything, and it feels and I think you said this, and I agree with you. I feel it is more problematic than it was last year when Vince was just the head of creative. I do feel that there is a lot of just indecision, or just the room is split. Vince is changing things on the fly sometimes, so it's really going the product, because it just like we were saying, like it seems like it's half baked. You're not committing to a lot of things, and things are just kind of getting thrown together, and it turns into this very stale and boring product to watch.
The way that I look at it, and I'm going to use an example that comes to mind right away. You have two champions on each brand, okay? So you've got Rhea Ripley and you have Bianca Belair.
Yep.
And I'm not even going to get into the other side of this with the championships being flip-flopped. What I'm going to talk about is you have two sides of the coin, and they're both negative. You have Bianca Belair, who is now on a new brand, who should be feuding with new people, but is resorting back to an old storyline, which we talked about before, and she's continuing to face off against the same person to create more redundancy in the brand, right? Not giving other opportunities to other people, etc., etc. And then you have the other side of the token, which is Rhea Ripley, who we just throw together with Natalya. Why? Because let's throw something out there and see if people bite on it. But Natalya,
and then there's no commitment.
Exactly. And Natalya's been that one person in WWE that I look at that they don't commit on. They throw her in matches, like as a person specifically, and this isn't just her. There's a lot of talent like this where they kind of throw them in. They have really good matches, and Natalya is one of those people who, she can have a good match. She can, sell well. She can wrestle well. She can keep up. Look at how she did against Ronda Rousey. That was one of Ronda Rousey's best matches that she had in the last year. So she can do well. But why are you throwing her against Rhea Ripley with no prior feud, no prior build, no prior nothing? And
No, Court. No. She walked out slowly to the ring to save Dana Brooke.
Right. Because that's enough to feud for it. That's enough
That's
for a
enough in
title shot.
WWE's mind for them to give a title shot to probably one of the biggest female stars in the company outside of Becky. Well, actually, we should probably give props to the Becky and Trish one, but let's just dive into
the card. Yeah,
what I'm calling Night of Some Champions, because the idea is every belt's supposed to be on the line, but one massive one is not on the line, and there's two others. One is being defended on a pre-tape show on Friday, which is Austin Theory. Who knows? It could get added last minute, but we kind of said at the top, we're not really looking forward to this. This match just kind of seemed meh, and the results of seem pretty predictable. And even if there's some unpredictability there, the one probably match you see a title change, which is the tag match, would be infuriating if that happened, in my opinion. So let's go through the card, and we'll see what we think about it.
I was going to say, let's just start with the Trish and Becky match, because there's
Sure.
actually been one that we've had a little bit of build up to. There's a little
Yes.
bit of feud to, and there is a little bit of backline storyline that goes back a few months.
Yeah. No, that one's been done well for sure.
It's
I think
it's been done all right. Yeah.
yeah. So I feel like that's one I'm actually looking forward to, because the build's good and it's, two good wrestlers, right? So out of one of the two, so there's 7 matches, only 2, I would argue. I guess you could say Cody and Brock have had a committed build too, but it's problematic in my opinion. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this match. I think it'll be really good. I just don't know who's going to win. This is the only one I really think I don't know who they will have win.
Because I think they can go in 2 directions here, and they can always go in 2 directions, but they could go in 2 ways for 2 reasons. They could have Becky win, and it kind of solidifies her credibility of beating a Hall of Famer, and she has kind of that other accolade to add to her career. Because quite frankly, I feel like Becky Lynch is at the latter half of her career. I think it's not because of her physicality. I think she just doesn't want to be doing this for that much longer. She wants to be with her daughter, and
yeah,
totally fair. And then you have Trish Stratus, who is beyond her days, and she still looks all right in the ring. Like, she's training, and she's trying to keep up, but she's not at the level she was 20 years ago, and that's totally fair. You can't spend 10-15 years out of the ring and expect to walk in with no rest. But I don't think I would assume she'd be around long term. Now, I could be totally wrong. She might be doing another championship run for all I know. I really don't know.
She was drafted, so that makes you think she's around for a bit.
She may be around for a bit, considering that she was drafted. So it's really hard to say who will win, because you could see benefits going back both ways. If she wins, you also have credibility on her side that she can still do it. She can still keep up with this group, and then maybe they could possibly go for another title run. Maybe we could see her versus Charlotte Flair or something like that down the road, right?
Yeah.
But in Becky's case, I think it just adds that extra accolade of, you've done it all, but pretty much, the only thing she hasn't done in her career is beaten some of those names like Lita and Trish and so on, and then she hasn't won a Money in the Bank, but she's pretty much done it all. So, and she's super over with the crowd. So regardless of if she wins or not, I think she's always over. And Trish has always really done well as a heel, so I think she is over as a heel. I think she's doing really well. Yeah. So I mean, I don't really care who wins in this match, to be honest. It doesn't really matter. I think it's good for the brand regardless of who wins. And it can keep the division going. They may still feud later on. I don't know.
So that's where I think Trish will win. So they can set something up for SummerSlam. As much as I would rather that Becky win and then Becky faces Rhea at SummerSlam. Mm-hmm. That's what I really want, but they may be saving in that match for a Mania, potentially.
Possibly we see Lita come back?
That's the other thinking. That's what the other thinking is. Lita comes back and either turns heel and turns on Becky, and that Trish wins because of that. It'd be a really interesting match for sure, but this has to be, at least in some of the research that I did, I couldn't find a non-title feud women's match on a PLE. It's been a long time for WWE.
That's right.
Funny enough, it's happening in Saudi Arabia, which I think is kind of hilarious with their record with women. So I kind of find that hilarious. So it's, I guess, good on WWE for finally doing some sort of non-title feud that goes to a PLE for the first time in a long time. So that'll be a good match, I think. And we'll see how that goes. Let's move over to your Raw Women's Champion on SmackDown versus Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship. So if that sounds ridiculous to you, it's because it is. And this is one of the many frustrating matches on this card, because it'll be a good match. Like, Asuka and Bianca will put on a good match, but we're seeing the same damn thing we saw from Mania, and Bianca already beat her at Mania. So I'm struggling to figure out why they even did this match. Probably for, I guess, the names, I'm assuming, for Saudi Arabia. That's the only way I can think why they would go back to this. But again, it's just like a frustrating. They've done a somewhat of a build, like it's been a bit better than what they did for Mania, which I kind of think is kind of funny.
And I almost feel like it's less of a build, but just it's been ongoing, right? Like there's history between the two of them. We've seen them face off a few times, even before Mania. So there is history there. Less of a build and more of a historical events have kind of been put together, and they're leading to where they are.
Well, and they build this as like this is Asuka's heel turn. I'm like, well, her heel turn was when she debuted back in at Royal Rumble, but I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but like I feel like they are just restricting the hell out of Asuka.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like
yeah,
she could do so much as a heel.
Mm-hmm.
They just seem to just put her into this weird little box where she's kind of like a KO. She's not really a heel, but she is, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's acted more heelish this time. Like she sprayed Bianca on her Raw celebration on SmackDown. God damn it, WWE. And then like tried to do it again, last time, and it didn't work. But it's just like it's just mind-numbingly frustrated. Like the whole point of this draft was to give us fresh things, and yes, Bianca and Io were really good, but that wasn't really a fresh matchup. They've actually faced off from each other before, and of course, Bianca's feuded with Damage Control quite a bit. So we have yet to, since this draft, which Triple H promised to change the game, which I found that was hilarious because I'm assuming that was some sort of play on his
time to play the game.
It seems like H has got quite the ego. I'm gonna put that out there.
You're not wrong about that.
It doesn't really seem to have done much, right? Like, okay, fine. We got Rhea and Natty, and we'll get into that one in a second. But like we're literally seeing the same thing, and it's just so like there's seriously no other heel that you could have drafted to SmackDown to face Bianca.
Or better yet,
really,
can you really give Bianca a try to see if she can go heel on someone else?
There's rumors she might do that. Actually,
I think it's really needed. I think that Bianca's character work is getting so stale. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate because in the ring she's so talented.
Yeah,
and I can
she'd be such a good heel.
I can see 100% why they want her as a champion for a long period of time. She's earned it. She works really hard, and I could see that. But her as a face is just it's mind-bogglingly boring.
Well, you're gonna get yourself into a John Cena scenario where you just everyone's asking for it, and then it just doesn't happen. It just never
happens for a career.
The rumor is around close to SummerSlam, her and Street Profits will turn heel and they'll create a faction.
Okay, that's interesting. We'll see if that happens.
But that's logical. So we know with WWE, it's not going to happen.
But I think the logical thing is have your freaking SmackDown championship on SmackDown and your Raw That's the logical thing. Why are we rolling with this for so long? I wonder if there's somehow intention that they'll get traded and swapped back to the brands that they originally are holding the title for. Or change the titles.
Change names.
Don't have to be Raw Championship and SmackDown Championship. Why don't you follow suit with the men's titles and be the Universal Championship and the World Heavyweight Championship?
Because this whole draft was such a throw up against, like we just discussed, it's a throw up against the wall thing. It's going to be exciting.
It's going to change the game forever.
Yeah, and now you got this where you look like an absolute idiot. And we discussed this last episode. Like, you just look like a moron right now. And if you do a title swap, it's going to look stupid, right? Because that would technically end Bianca's reign.
Yeah.
As Raw Women's
Champion. If they were going to do a title swap, they should have done it in the beginning. Like, that night that they got drafted, they should have done it then.
Or just have Bianca lose it.
Or have Bianca lose it to Io Sky that match, right? Or the only random thing that they could possibly do is have Bianca lose this match at Saudi Arabia. I don't think it's going to happen.
Because you should have just done that in Mania then.
But I've seen crazier things happen. I'll say that. So, you know what? It's possible. I wouldn't say that I feel as definitively that Bianca's winning this title as I did at Mania. So,
I think she's winning. I don't think they have
I don't
a
think
plan.
they have a plan. I don't think they have a plan for the SmackDown Women's Division. That's the problem.
Well, the women's division in general.
I think they have more of a plan for Raw. I think they have less of a plan for SmackDown, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, yeah, and I was sort of shaking my head because Raw, they basically changed Raw up so you could see Cody the entire show, and they pushed a fatal 4-way tag team match for the women's tag titles. I think that was really annoying and stupid. But it's all about Cody and Rock and their strange feud. We'll get that in a little bit. Let's go into the other women's the title match: Rhea Ripley versus Natalya. I don't even know what to say about this match. Rhea's going to win.
I know that. Yeah.
I just wonder how quick is my question. Like,
here's my hope to this. I'll shed some light. I hope this is an opportunity for Dom to get involved because Rhea's quite often gotten involved in his matches. I think it's too obvious Rhea can beat Natalya. But Natalya is always that type of character and person that, she'll come inches within winning. You know what I mean? She'll put her in a sharpshooter. Rhea will be about to tap, and then, inevitably she's going to get out and Natalya will lose. Now, Dom's been such a heated character for so long. I think this is a great opportunity to throw him in and have Natalya lose this match and Rhea win this match only because of Dom's interference. Like we need
him there for sure.
We don't need to see Rhea dominate because we know she can dominate. So why don't we have her win by cheating, right? Like let's have her win uncleanly. This is the heel way to do things. Why not? And it puts more heat on Dom. It puts more heat on her, which I think is good for the Judgment Day going forward.
It is, and the crowd in Saudi is going to be good because they usually are. Like they are very good,
and they're going to be booing him loudly.
Yeah. So why not bring Dom there to get that visual or get the actual audience, not piped in crowd noise of them booing that. So I'm good with that match. If you
that's what I would say. That's my 2 cents for that match.
So that's the women. So I'm okay. Like I'm happy to see three out of the 4 matches are women's matches. So that's good. Be interesting to see them all in because they have to wear full bodysuits, right?
Yeah,
it'll be very different to see that. Let's go to the Intercontinental Championship because the last 3 are part of the triple main event, and we'll discuss that in a second. So Gunther versus Mustafa Ali. Thoughts?
I'm glad they're giving Mustafa Ali some opportunity.
A push.
I think
he's Brock Lesnar going get a life here. That was pretty funny.
I think he's talented.
Me too.
I think he deserves it. Will he win? No. Gunther's not losing this title anytime soon.
Not till September once he beats Honky Tonk's record.
Yeah, at least till September, if not longer than that.
And then
I don't know. This match is one that will probably be a quick squash match because I don't think that you really need Imperium to get involved because I don't really think that Mustafa Ali has any followers, any backing. I don't think he has anybody who will come out and save him if Imperium comes out. I almost feel like Dolph Ziggler will come in and turn cost on him. Cost him the match. Yeah, because I feel like they want to give Mustafa Ali a push later on, and if he loses really easily and fresh, clean to Gunther, I think that there's no question he shouldn't get another match later. So if you have someone like Dolph Ziggler come in and ruin the match for him, they can feud for a bit, and then potentially he could have a shot later on.
Well, and I actually don't think it'll be a squash. Like I do think like Gunther's pretty good at actually putting on a good match.
He's getting a lot better that way.
Right, like everyone he's fought. So the only squash match I've seen from him so far, outside of Jobbers, it was when he won the championship from Ricochet, and then that next title defense, it was a squash match. But that was back in the Vince days, fully Vince days, and I don't know why Vince didn't like Ricochet, but since then he's been putting on really good. He's fought Ray. He's obviously fought Sheamus and Drew. Like he's he's good to like have a good match. I think they'll probably want to avoid they'll probably want to avoid squashes for Saudi because they want to put on a show.
True. That is a good point.
So most of these matches will probably have a good amount of time for it. So yeah, I do think Gunther will win. Obviously, this is another one where I'm frustrated about the build because Mustafa Ali wins the tournament and has no interaction with him.
He's not even on TV.
Yeah,
for that matter, he wasn't even on TV on Monday. So
he got some of Cody's pyro when he won the Battle Royale. So that's how special he was.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just frustrated by it because it's like I want to see this match, but I wish they just had one promo, right? Where hell, have Gunther and him beat the crap out of Ali. I don't care,
and that's consistent. We want to see some promos outside of the bloodline, right? Like let's throw some promos up for. I think one of the things that they've really struggled with after the draft and before the draft is like, why aren't we? If we don't think we have enough talent at the mid card and the low card, why are we not trying to build that talent up and get them better? And it doesn't mean that they're in ring, even their promo skills. People aren't going to get better unless they have a bit of TV time. And like we said at the top of the show, you only need 5 minutes. If you get 5 minutes and you can show off a good promo in 5 minutes, that can really take you a mile, right? And you can go far with a couple of those in a month, 2 to 3 of them once every Raw, building up a show. Like 5 minutes and it doesn't take away from the show.
It's a 3-hour show.
It's a 3-hour show and a 2-hour show on Friday. So how do you not find time for it? Anyways, again, it's going to be one where it's too predictable that we know who's going to win, which bothers me too.
It'll be a good match.
Yeah, but it'll be a good match.
As annoyed as I am, it'll be a good match. So let's move on to the triple main event. Have you ever heard of a triple main event before, Corey?
Not to my knowledge. No.
Is that even possible?
I don't even think a double main event is possible. I think that's
why we had it at Saudi. Sorry, we had it at Backlash.
I think that's why we call it a co-main event, but it's okay.
Yeah, it was the main event, Bunny and Breeze, but it was the third to last match. How the hell does that make sense? You had a cool down match in between of that. So yes, we do have 3 matches left, and they are being billed triple main event because they just can't decide which one will be the main event.
But we truly know what the main event is. We don't have to question that.
I don't think it'll be the tag match, actually.
You don't think so, hey?
I think because they are stressing so much about this World Heavyweight Championship. It will be the main event. So let's start with the non-title match, which is Brock and Cody. And what I wanted to get to earlier was I am so baffled that you have 2 guys that are, Brock's good on the mic now. How they didn't have a single promo together. They had just basically like chasing each other. One beats the crap out of another, or it's just a bunch of security guards. Like, how did you not get those 2 in the ring on a mic? I don't understand. Right? Like, Cody is amazing on the mic. He cut some pretty damn good promos by himself because that's what Cody does. Like, to make me excited for this, like I'm enjoying the beatdowns. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoy a good beatdown, like every other fella. But like, how did they not have one promo together in the ring where they're yelling at each other? Like, I just don't understand that. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. So, and that's why this bill's been so strange to me. It's just been like they're feuding, and the feuding is Brock beats the crap out of Cody for 3 weeks. They go to the PLE at Backlash. Cody sneaks a win out, and then Brock goes back to kicking the crap out of Cody again. Like, and now he's got a broken arm. So, like, what's going to happen in this match?
Well, there's this whole thing is just like ass backwards. Like, why they did it in the first place is just, it baffles me. You didn't even need to make Brock go heel again. I don't know. I feel like the moment that Brock goes heel again, which he has, right? I feel like that moment needed Paul Heyman, because Paul Heyman has been Brock's advocate as a heel his entirety of his career. The only time he dropped Paul Heyman was when he went face against Roman. And Paul Heyman was a big missing piece, I felt like, in this feud, because Brock is just going out and conquering, like, that's what Brock is, because he's now the Beast incarnate again. And damn well Cody and Paul are going to put on some really heavy
Good promos.
I think it's fine with Brock being heel again and not going against Roman, that Paul can still advocate for Brock. I mean, it shouldn't be a big deal. But that aside, Brock is getting better on the mic, and it's fine. But it feels like this whole thing didn't need to happen in the first place. We didn't really need a Brock and Cody mismatch.
Well,
and this is all just because of the adversity problem. That, Cody didn't already have this issue, and he didn't already face adversity before. And, he didn't just lose to Roman Reigns. He didn't just not finish the story.
Could you imagine this build, like, with the titles?
Right?
Like, if Cody had the titles, he'd be like, holy crap, like, Cody just escaped with his titles at Backlash. And now Brock has broken his arm. This guy is probably going to lose his titles at Saudi Arabia, right? That actually would have been exciting.
If Cody won the titles from Roman and just squeezed by at Backlash against Brock, and Brock demolishes him in Saudi at this Night of Champions, and now we have to see Brock Lesnar with both titles on his waist or on his shoulders or whatever, I wouldn't have been mad with that. I actually wouldn't have been mad with that, even though Cody lost the title so fast. Because now you're building a story for Cody's redemption. And that's
SummerSlam.
Is interesting. But now you have this thing where Cody's beat him once. I don't really know which direction they want to go. I think it makes sense to shelf Cody now, to be honest. Cody's losing momentum like crazy.
Yes and no. The crowd seems to be very...
The crowd seems to be still behind him, but, like, if you look at it, like, what he's doing, like, he's losing a lot of momentum towards his story, right? He's just kind of sitting there, and, it's kind of like WWE's trying to get us to forget he's, like, even wanting to go after Roman. And
a little bit, eh?
And you look at it and you're like, oh, well, I think they're trying to drive us away from they're trying to put us they want to put a wedge in between that, because they don't want us to think of him as a champion right now. But they don't want to get us to think, okay, well, Cody's going to go for the World Heavyweight title, or he's going to go for the Universal title. So we're going to sit here and just have Cody kind of do these stupid matches with Brock. And I honestly feel, I don't know about you, but I feel like Cody's going to lose. I think that they
well, so here's where they booked themselves now. It's either a it's either going to be a squash match, because like that's what it should be, because it's Brock Lesnar versus a guy with one friggin' arm, or Cody somehow beats him with one arm, which doesn't look good for Lesnar at all.
No,
so like it's a terrible situation they put themselves in. It's a terrible situation.
The way that I was going to finish was saying that this doesn't do justice for either of them. Like, it doesn't help them, either of them, because if Brock loses, well, it looks really bad on him for losing to Cody with one arm. And if Cody loses, well, he had a broken arm. How the hell do you expect him to win anyways? It's not fair. So, like, it doesn't really look good for either of them. And they've just put themselves in this, like, weird position. So I think your best bet right now is you don't want Cody to lose momentum. So with with Triple H coming out on Monday and sitting there and talking to Cody, like, that was so unnecessary. Like, it just felt so, like, unauthentic. Do you know what I mean?
It's because Triple H likes to tell the stories that he went through when he was in WWE.
He does, because you can see that with NXT too, and like how he's told a lot of stuff.
It's such an ego stroke. I didn't really fully understand it till I watched that the other night.
Yeah,
I didn't know that Brock also broke Triple H's arm, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just like, oh my god, you just love to tell the stories that you went through when you were in WWE. It's kind of like a little bit cringy.
It is cringy.
Cringy is probably a bit of a strong word, but like, it's just like, really, like, you can't tell a new story.
That's the thing, and that's this consistency, right, of not being able to tell something new and fresh. So I think, I hate to say it, but it almost makes sense to shelf Cody. Let's put him on the shelf for a couple months.
Mhm.
You know, let's have
Have
him
him come back
heel.
and have him come back on Money in the Bank, or are you not even that?
Let's have him come back, whether it's Money in the Bank or SummerSlam, but let's have him come back with like no expectation. Like let's have him just come back as a surprise. Let's have him come back and
They
build
added
some
Theory
excitement.
last year.
Well,
They added Theory as the 8th person last year.
If they add Cody as an
One.
8th person, I think it's gonna make a lot of people mad.
Yeah.
They don't want to.
So.
They don't want to like feed him with a silver spoon. Like that's not the right thing to do. Then I almost feel like you bring him back.
Cody's been fed a fucking oh my god,
he
fed a
has.
silver spoon, right? Like it's just like he's not. Like it's so frustrating that we're even going down this bloody path because it's like. Anyways, that's just what WWE wants to do. I think it's mostly because he was an AEW guy and they don't want him having the belt.
I agree. I don't think that he's. I don't think he's gonna win the belt anytime soon.
No.
I actually have my doubts he's even gonna win the belt. To be honest,
I'm starting to go down that road too, which is very sad.
I think so because now there's rumors that he potentially is facing Gunther at WrestleMania 40. Which makes me suspect Roman Reigns will face Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 40.
So that'd be for the World Heavyweight Championship then.
They're going to unify the titles.
Oh, don't do this to me.
I knew I was gonna touch a nerve there, but what they're gonna do is they're gonna unify the titles. So you're gonna have two options happen. They're either going to relinquish this World Heavyweight title. And you're going to have Roman still hold two titles, but he'll have a new title rather than the Universal title. So maybe he'll have a WWE title and the World Heavyweight Championship. Or Seth might win, and they'll just have one belt for WWE. And that's it. And it'll just be one solitary belt. I think if they go down the route of having Roman and Seth fight for all the titles, like a winner takes all, the biggest match of WrestleMania, because they're going to say this every year now. This is the biggest match that WrestleMania has ever had, and that's how they'll promote it. And then they're just going to keep unifying belts, and Roman will be on the card winning belts until he decides he wants to retire. And you know, I just don't get it, but I think that WWE will revolve around Roman Reigns until Roman Reigns calls it quits.
Until the wheels fall off.
I don't even think they care if people don't want it. I don't even think they care if people are getting so bored. I think if Roman Reigns had the titles for 15 years and people were getting so angry, they wouldn't care. But the minute that Roman Reigns says, okay, I'm stepping away from WWE, then they can start giving it to other people by the time Theory is 50.
Yeah, exactly. We'll finally be ready. Since we're ragging on Roman, let's move over to the just god-awful, in my opinion, tag match. I know there's a story behind it. Don't get me wrong. I get it. But it just would have been so much better if he didn't have the titles, because it'd be like him just desperately clinging on to the head of the table, right? Like, this story would have been so much better if there was no titles. But no, he has 2 titles. He's not defending them on his 1000th day as champion. And he's going to try and get more from the 2 guys that won them off the bloodline in Mania, and they're still stuck with the bloodline 2 months later. So this...
I think try is the incorrect word.
Obtain?
Obtain is the correct word. I do think Paul Heyman is going to have to carry 2 more titles. Poor guy. I don't know how he's going to do it. They're going to have to hire somebody else to hold the other 2 titles.
That is the only reason I want to see them win, just so I can see Paul Heyman, because I obviously Solo's going to carry 2. Or maybe not. Maybe Roman's just like, no, you're the
Paul has to carry all of them.
You have 6 belts, and I kind of want to see that. That's the only reason I want to see Roman win, is so to see Paul Heyman struggle with 4 belts on his arms.
In your right mind, can you even argue in this case that with Roman winning the World Tag Titles, or whatever you want to call them, the tag titles, the undisputed tag titles, how does this better his career? How does this add to what he's already done and add to his legacy? I don't,
because Roman's God, and you must give him whatever he lacks.
He's in God mode, right?
Even though he can't win a match by himself,
right? So you know they're going to win, and you know what's going to happen next.
Stop it.
What?
Stop saying that. It upsets me.
So what they're gonna do is they're going to win, and they're going to face the Usos at SummerSlam for the undisputed titles,
and they'll beat the Usos.
And they'll beat the Usos. They will beat the Usos so bad that the Usos will not come back until 2024.
They'll join. Jay will join Trinity in Impact.
Yes, it'll beat them out of the WWE. and I feel like that's how they're going to end the bloodline. They're going to end the bloodline by disregarding the Usos' title run, like more disrespect. Like out of the whole year of the bloodline holding all those titles, I think like Kevin Owens said it on Monday. I think all the respect of the pillars of the bloodline goes to the Usos, because if it wasn't for the Usos, Roman wouldn't be where he is. And the how much they actually like fought for those titles over the last year really shows they were true champions, and they deserve that. Whatever
they were at every PLE. They even defended on SmackDown
all the time.
So they're the workhorses of the bloodline for sure. Solo's workhorse too. He's been on a lot, but I'm wondering, like, if Solo doesn't win here, like at some point you gotta think he's going for a belt. Like they booked him like he's this unstoppable force.
That's why
right?
I think they're gonna win. To a point which where Roman is afraid of him apparently all of a sudden, which was such a strange little thing they did, because like not 2 months ago it was like, oh, you're not ready to face Cody, but all of a sudden now the top guy in the like tippy top guy in the organization is afraid of Solo, who has never challenged for a belt in the main roster. It's just good at beating up mid-carders. So I thought that was really strange, and I know it's all about like planting seeds and all that stuff, but like it just make it believable. Like there's nothing that like Solo's done for Roman for him to even think of like never.
that.
Because he's always abided by Roman, and everything Roman's asked him to do, he's done. He should never be afraid of him. It doesn't make any sense. It's too early. If you're gonna make him afraid of him, it's too early to do that.
I agree. It's too early.
Which I will say now, looking back, it was too early to have Solo lose to Cody. With everything that happened, why did you have him lose? Because
I can't do it, Corey. I can't go back there. It's a dark place.
We won't. But that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm
in therapy to get over that. I thought Cody was winning.
I totally understand.
So I do think actually KO and Sami are gonna win. I think they're gonna focus on I think the Usos will come in, they will screw up and somehow mess it up, and then Solo will take the pin, or it's a disqualification, right? Because it's champion's advantage. So a DQ is very possible for this match because it's the bloodline.
True.
So that could happen as well. But you're feeling like it's going to be Roman and Solo walking out with those belts
for sure, and especially in Saudi. I think that's why I think it's going to happen. I think that's one. The second thing is I think they want a belt on Solo. The third thing is they want to end this bloodline story, and I think they're ending it in the wrong way. I think, going with them trying to like disregard the Usos and everything, that's not how none of us wanted to see it end. We wanted to see them all turn on Roman. That was the ideal.
See, if it goes the way I think, I actually will get re-interested in this story, because like the only reason why I'm still kind of distance from it because they're going for the bloody tag belts. I'm like, what the hell? If this rumored tag match is going to happen between Solo and Roman and the Usos, and there's no belts on the line, then I'm interested. That's going to be a hell of a match. Because that's going to have good in-ring and a tremendous amount of storytelling. But that KO and Sami have to win, and then KO and Sami have to have nothing.
That's what I was going to say.
To do with this goddamn bloodline.
They need to stay on Raw. They need to split these titles. They need to basically KO and Sami need to lose the SmackDown titles to whoever, like the Profits or something. They need these titles to be split. We can't have undisputed titles anymore. This isn't a thing. We're trying to get away from this with the World Heavyweight Championship. We need to get away from this with the tag titles too. We have to. So I think they need to stay on one brand is my honest opinion.
Agreed. Before my blood pressure goes any higher, let's move off and talk about the World Heavyweight Championship, because Roman gives me PTSD. So World Heavyweight Championship, I think it's pretty clear who's winning this match. I think it will be the true main event, the actual main event, not the it's still part of the triple main event. But like, do WWE think we're stupid? Like, I don't understand this. Like, this triple main event. I'm like, what are you like? What in your right mind are you trying to market to us? Like,
They think we're
almost,
morons.
like they must like what are you talking about? That doesn't even like the English doesn't even make sense. Like when you're throwing it out as like this amazing thing. Like they stumbled upon this bloody double main event at Backlash because they knew they weren't gonna have Bunny and Priest, and so they just like, oh, let's just call it a double main event. And then apparently, I guess it worked. So like, oh well, what do we do now? We'll do a triple main event.
And then
so what?
And then we're gonna do a quadruple main event.
So by the time we get to
Money in the
WrestleMania, by the time we get to WrestleMania, every single match will be a main event
Match.
a main event card. So anyways, I got off on a tangent. Talk to my therapist about that. But yeah, I do think Seth is going to win this belt because it's a Raw exclusive belt. You know, they've pretty much told everyone he's going to win it. Like they've had him beside it since the moment H revealed it to us before the draft, which I think is a good thing. I like Seth. I think he's the perfect kind of guy to win the belt. I love AJ. I'm sad that he won't win the belt. I do think he deserves gold again, but not this time. I think it needs to be Seth for sure.
I'm gonna throw some gasoline on the fire here.
Ooh.
I think all the signs point to Seth winning. So
then AJ's winning?
The promos, the time on screen, the standing beside. WWE is trying to paint the picture that Seth Rollins is winning to the fans. Mm-hmm. And the fans are getting behind this. And you are getting behind this because you think he'll win. And
so it's another Cody situation?
They're screwing with us because they're not giving any build to AJ Styles. So out of you have to remember the one thing about WWE. Logic does not stand any case in this industry, especially with WWE. So I'm going to throw some gas on the fire and say AJ Styles is going to win this out of nowhere. Whether it's going to be AJ's going heel or something, because this is a face versus face match as we have it on paper.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say it, but I wonder how they even make the case that if AJ wins, what happens with the belt? Does it go back to Raw?
Roman can then take it from off of Money in the Bank.
That's what I'm worried about, is that Roman's going to be slated as the 8th member in Money in the Bank, and Roman's going to win Money in the Bank and cash in on either AJ or Seth, and he's going to win the title.
You know who I'd like to win Money in the Bank is Jay.
Jey Uso?
Yeah. I'd like that. Because then he can hold it over Roman for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Because like Roman can't not make him not have it, right?
And he could hold on to that for almost a whole year to mess with him too.
Yeah, so it'd be kind of cool if Jay won, but it doesn't sound like they're planning that.
Yeah, there was some rumor for a while that LA Knight was gonna win, and I just don't see it anymore with the build that they've been giving him. It just it doesn't make sense.
He's falling off the card for sure. But okay, so you think AJ? I think Seth.
I'm only just throwing a wrench in it, and
because
think
of what
AJ,
happened with us with Cody. We can never guess anymore. We can never.
I just can't follow logic with WWE anymore.
We can't get invested in anybody. They're just gonna break our hearts. They're just like, it's like a bad relationship.
They're gonna turn it into a triple threat. So Roman's gonna win the tag titles, and then they're gonna turn it into a triple threat. So Roman's gonna also win this match, and Roman's gonna hold every title in WWE. Then he'll face Bianca Belair in the quadruple main event, and then he'll win the Raw Women's Championship. Then he'll face Rhea, win the SmackDown Women's Championship, and he'll literally be that picture of like holding all the belts, because that's
just give it to him. He's got long arms, so he can fit them all.
Because it's really Roman wrestling entertainment now. That's truly what it is.
Instead of ROH, it's RWA.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, what you could do is you could have Seth versus Rollins. Seth
versus Rollins. I'd like that.
Yeah, fight himself. You could have Cody versus Rollins at Money in the Bank, but before that main event, you have Roman win the briefcase, and then in that match he cashes in and gets back at Seth for his cash in at WrestleMania a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then further screws Cody out.
I just have this like horrible gut feeling that Roman's winning that World Heavyweight Championship, and I don't know why.
I don't think you're the only one. I think that's a pretty safe thing to think after how they're treating Roman like this walking belt magnet. Or why they can't take the belts off him. He's got like a magnet.
He's got a magnet thing that's just
strong.
like. That's just like, yeah, he cannot lose those belts. No matter how hard Vince and Triple H pry to get those off. It's a super magnet.
It's just like eventually magnets their strength from wear down. We just have to wait.
We think it's God mode. What it is actually called is magnet mode.
Science. It's science.
It's called science. Yeah, it's called science.
Exactly. Well, we'll stop there because my blood pressure is too high. Talking about Roman, and I need to call my therapist. So thanks everyone for listening. Please hit subscribe, give us a like, hit that little bell to let you know when we're having an episode. As I always say, my beautifully bearded friend, thanks for chatting with me.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks everybody for listening, and we will catch you at the next one.